Hello there and welcome. It is about 6:17 p.m. across Cameroon and time for the news on Canal International, coming to you live from our studios in Douala. First up, our top stories.
Spectacular broad daylight robbery in Bamenda, chief town of the restive northwest region of Cameroon, as armed men raid a hardware business center, kidnapped accountant, and disappear with an undisclosed sum of money. Outburst in Douala, Cameroon's economic city, due to persistent traffic jam that paralyzes the city's west end. From Bikoko to Rai Bonaberi, travelers are known to spend at least 3 hours on the spot each day. And Brazil's opposition left-wing candidate Lula da Silva bounces back as president, defeating incumbent Jair Bolsonaro. The 6:15 news is right ahead in a split second with Tarike Divine, Ramsey Jr.
Thanks once again for staying on with us. Now let's start with one of our lead stories in which two suspects or suspected rapists are currently behind bars at Dibombari, that's on the outskirts of Douala. Aged 21 and 41, both men have been charged with sexually abusing minors in the area for occultic purposes. In fact, both men have confessed to their crimes but actually admit hardship is to blame. Ndi Morin.
The news is on every lips. In Dibombari, a small village in the littoral region, residents have expressed anger and threats of mob justice on the two suspects accused of occultic practices and rape of minors, Bright Nje and Romain Ngamini, respectively, 21 and 41, accused of persistently raping their victims who are below 10 years of age. While in security, they confessed to the act.
My neighbor's child of about 4 years came into our house. I don't know what pushed me to take her inside my room, and I put my finger into her private part. I don't know what came over me.
During questioning, the suspects blamed their actions on economic hardship and frustration. They had to resort to witch doctors for salvation. But to succeed, the suspects had to fulfill conditions given them by a witch doctor who is based in the town of Manjo. One of the conditions was to have sex with a virgin.
Before later on in the evening, our father came and took me from the house that I should come. Before he took me to the chief palace, before the gendarme came and took me there.
Parents had discovered strange behavior in some of the victims that caused them to open up. A manhunt was launched following a tip-off leading to their hideout. All sort of concoction uncovered. Meantime, security officers have cautioned parents to be vigilant and constantly have an eye on their children. The suspects will be presented to the State Council in the days ahead.
Unfold with connotations of what's similar to a Hollywood blockbuster. In broad daylight, gunmen enter a hardware shop. They freeze everyone on site, kidnap the accountant, and vamoose within a couple of minutes with an undisclosed amount of money. Sharifa recounts with field reporting from Annie Collins that the setting is Bamenda in the northwest region.
Sonak Street in Bamenda 2 subdivision is right at the heart of the town. It is here that a group of armed men last Saturday fired warning shot in broad daylight, interrupted traffic circulation before spraying petrol on goods in the Sorepco hardware shop and setting it on fire. The armed gang had earlier ransacked the shop and seized an undisclosed amount of money. They reportedly kidnapped the accountant and disappeared. It was only after their departure that a few neighbors mustered courage to join the Sorepco shop workers in trying to put out the ravaging flames.
You know that chair for his house now? I told him to steal our back.
Now, last October 20, authorities in the neighboring Equatorial Guinea decided to expel each national and foreign national precisely residing in that country without legal documents. The first batch of Cameroonians who have opted to voluntarily return home arrived at the Douala International Airport about 3:30 p.m. this October 31. The 52 were welcomed by the governor of the littoral region, Samuel Diodone Ivan Hadiboa. They are scheduled to all undertake medical examinations before reuniting with their siblings. Their return, we learn, is made possible thanks to a funding assistance of 125 million CFA francs from the head of state. Here now briefly is the consul of Cameroon's diplomatic mission in Equatorial Guinea explaining how the process is going to unfold.
I would like to just thank firstly the government. His Excellency, the head of state, approved this operation and of voluntary return in Cameroon. So 52 Cameroonians who are living in Equatorial Guinea decide to return voluntarily in Cameroon, and this is why the head of state approved a special deliberation of a budget of 125 million francs CFA in order to permit to all the Cameroonians who are living in Equatorial Guinea and who want to go back to Cameroon to go back and to make sure that they can return safely in Cameroon. The embassy and the consulate in Bata are there to put in place that operation, and this is why this is the first batch, the first wave. A second wave will come very soon, and in Bata we'll have another waves of Cameroonians who are going to go back to Cameroon. So we hope that this operation will continue and make sure that all the Cameroonians who are living in Equatorial Guinea and who want to go back safely in Cameroon will, in safely terms, go back in Cameroon in a good terms.
Now we're going to flip open a special package in the lead up to the commemoration later this week of President Paul Biya's 40th anniversary since he acceded power in 1982. Now remember, he once told French media outlets that he wanted to be remembered as the one who installed democracy in Cameroon. Of course, it is under his reign that the country witnessed a return to multi-party politics. Some 30 years down the road, how has Cameroon's democracy evolved this far? Kejang Henry Atembe.
40 years ago, Cameroonians welcomed a new president after Ahidjo resigned in 1982. Many saw the arrival of Paul Biya as the messiah to salvage Cameroon from an authoritarian rule. But 2 years after, the story of President Biya changed on their lips as a coup plot almost unseated him.
To me, as an individual, and now as a retired official from the civil service, I think the president has had a lot of difficulties in his hands. But how has he been able to face up and face these difficulties? And what policies has he taken to overcome the difficulties are still a big question.
Cameroonians then witnessed the transformation of the CNN party to the CPDM, opening up to what political actors and scholars call a democratic spirit. The New Deal was born, and to them, democracy has arrived.
Instead of addressing the crisis in the Anglophone regions, what I saw was posturing. I saw opportunism, but above all, I saw cowardice. We therefore missed an opportunity to show courage, tell the truth, and save lives. The best way to deal with a problem, any problem, is to address the fundamentals of that problem.
Whether by design or accident, the clamor for a political pluralism stepped in when Nijon Frundi launched the Social Democratic Front in 1990. The socio-political articulation in Cameroon changed as party pluralism installed, despite the brutal repression. That, however, did not remedy the political problems Cameroonians were going through. Critics say the democratic doctrine was a window dressing to make people think President Biya was democratic. This newfound politicking did not, however, unseat President Biya, who masterminded every move to consolidate power for 40 years. However, the past 6 years has seen Cameroon in an armed conflict, a conflict many historians called a political accident, erupting from the English-speaking part of the country. The world's attention was now on Cameroon, mass killing of Anglophones who took up arms against the state. Critics say the proposed solution for a way out was a missed opportunity.
The major national dialogue was supposed to end the conflict in Northwest and Southwest. But 3 years after, that conflict continues, and we can say that effort failed. The question is, why did it fail? It failed because it was not in consonance with the real cause of that conflict. The real cause of that conflict is the fact that in 1972, the government of Cameroon unconstitutionally changed the form of state from federation to a centralized unitary state.
Despite the trumpeted success of a dialogue, the conflict is still far from ending.
And in the case of the Anglophone problem, it is about the existence of two levels or two classes of citizenry in Cameroon. Class A and Class B. Class A is the Francophones, and Class B, the Anglophones.
At 89 years, 279 days, Paul Biya is the oldest current serving head of state in the world. This is an undisputed fact. And as President Paul Biya celebrates 40 years in power, we revisit President Macron's visit to Cameroon on July 25, 2022, when President Paul Biya picked questions from the press during that visit. And he was asked whether he still nurses the ambition to run for the presidency in 2025. President Paul Biya said, I quote, "When the time will come, you will know whether or not I will run, or whether to retire to my village." The answer left Cameroonians and the world in a dilemma.
And that's it for a special package in the lead-up to the commemoration of President Paul Biya's 40 years in power later this week. We'll continue on those lines in the coming days. Now, Brazil is my priority and the people are my cause. That's how we take you out of Cameroon to Brazil. Those amongst the first utterances of Brazilian President-elect Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva after he narrowly won a divisive runoff election Sunday to make a remarkable political comeback by beating far-right incumbent Jair Bolsonaro, who is yet to accept defeat. Back to that story too when we come for greater developments tomorrow. It's been a rather shortish edition of the news in English on Canal International tonight. Don't you worry, Alain Ghislain Kanga will be up here at 1950 for more news in French. Before then, Mark Chuamo comes up with a lead up to the Qatar World Cup in the debrief. Take care and stay safe.